Home Depot didn't start falling because Americans suddenly lost interest in renovating their homes. That's the surface-level story everyone repeats. The real collapse came from something far deeper. Americans changed. Their priorities changed, their wallets changed, and their relationship with home improvement changed. And Home Depot, for the first time since the 1980s, couldn't keep up. Let's rewind to the moment this empire was born. Late 1970s. The U.S. economy is shifting, inflation is high, and the housing market is opening a massive door. Two men, Bernie Marcus and Arthur Blank, notice something most retailers are blind to. Hardware stores are tiny, overpriced, and confusing. People want to fix things themselves, but they don't have the access, the tools, or the knowledge. So Home Depot doesn't launch as a store. It launches as a system. A place where the average American could walk in, touch every tool, compare every price, and learn how to build something without hiring anyone. That idea, DIY, became an identity. It wasn't marketing, it was a movement. By the 2000s, Home Depot wasn't helping people fix walls. It was helping people fix their aspirations. If Walmart sold survival, Home Depot sold ambition. And for decades, Americans bought it without hesitation. Then 2020 happened. The world froze, but Home Depot ignited. Millions of people stuck inside their homes began noticing every problem they had ignored for years. A cracked tile, a leaking sink, a shaky door. You can't escape a broken house when the house becomes your entire world. The result? One of the biggest retail booms in U.S. history. Lines outside Home Depot looked like people were queuing for emergency supplies. Revenue exploded. Tools, lumber, tiles, cabinets all became therapy for a nation trying to stay sane. Home improvement spending crossed $500 billion. That's not a number, that's a psychological event. But booms always hide the first signs of collapse. And during that peak moment, the cracks quietly began forming. Lumber prices didn't rise, they skyrocketed. Global supply chains jammed. Basic materials became luxury items. A plywood sheet that cost $15 suddenly cost $60. A kitchen cabinet set jumped 30 to 40% in months. Home repair shifted from being a weekend project to a financial burden. And Americans did something dangerous. They borrowed. Home equity loans surged. Credit card debt climbed. For the first time, people were renovating homes with money they didn't really have. On paper, Home Depot was thriving. Inside the stores, employees could see the truth. Customers weren't builders anymore. They were desperate homeowners trying to patch roofs, repair old floors, and stretch budgets they didn't want to admit were collapsing. One employee said something brutally accurate. People aren't building dreams. They're trying to prevent disasters. By 2022, the real numbers finally broke through the illusion. Sales growth slowed from double digits to barely 2%. Then froze. Then slipped. Google searches for home renovation crashed by over 40% in a single year. That's not a trend shift. That's desire dying. When people stop dreaming, Home Depot stops growing. Inside the stores, you could feel the change. The excitement was gone. The energy was gone. The complaints were rising. I paid so much and no one helped. Prices are insane. The store feels empty. This wasn't an operational problem. It was a psychological one. The trust that fueled the entire brand was evaporating. Then came inflation, tariffs, interest rates, debt pressure, job insecurity, all landing at the same time like a perfectly engineered nightmare. By 2023, 30% of Americans simply stopped repairing their homes, not by choice, by necessity. People shifted from "let's upgrade" to "let's not fall apart." And Home Depot, the $400 billion symbol of American self-reliance, began sinking into silence. Not a dramatic crash, a slow, painful slide, like a house whose foundation is cracking, but nobody hears it until the wall buckles. And that brings us to the core question. Why did the biggest home improvement empire in American history suddenly find itself standing inside empty aisles? By mid-2022, the numbers were no longer whispering, they were screaming. But the loudest warning didn't come from Wall Street, it came from inside American homes. Interest rates climbed at the fastest pace in decades. Mortgages became landmines. Credit card balances ballooned. The average American wasn't thinking about renovation anymore. They were thinking about survival. And that's where Home Depot's biggest weakness was exposed. Its entire business depends on confidence, not necessity. When people feel optimistic about the future, they renovate. When they feel uncertain, they stop immediately. Home improvement is one of the first expenses Americans cut when life gets tense. By late 2022, life wasn't just tense, it was suffocating. Material prices stayed high even as wages stagnated. A simple bathroom fix suddenly felt like a luxury. A small kitchen upgrade looked like a reckless gamble. And while all this was happening, Home Depot made a huge mistake. They kept operating like it was still 2020, the boom year. High prices, low staff, slow service, minimal training. The brand's old promise, "We help you do it yourself," quietly vanished. Customers walked in needing guidance, but found aisles that felt cold, robotic, and sometimes even abandoned. It didn't matter whether the shelves were full. If no one was there to help, the store felt empty. Retail experts call this the silent collapse. On paper, everything looks fine. In reality, the heartbeat is fading. By early 2023, the symptoms were undeniable. Fewer customers, longer gaps between purchases, rising complaints, falling transaction size, empty aisles in once busy stores. Home Depot wasn't losing shoppers to competitors. It was losing shoppers to reality. A comment that went viral in the US summed it up perfectly. "I don't buy paint anymore. I buy groceries." That's not an opinion. That's a national mood. And when a country's mood shifts, brands built on emotion fall first. What made things worse was the pressure building on the backbone of America, the middle class. For decades, these families were the engine that powered the home improvement industry. They bought homes, they upgraded homes, and they believed that every repair pushed them one step forward. But now they were drowning under rising mortgage payments, medical bills, student loans, shrinking savings, unpredictable job markets. The same families who once renovated every year were now hoping the roof wouldn't leak. That psychological shift was devastating for Home Depot. Remember, Home Depot isn't a grocery store. It doesn't sell essentials. It sells the hope of a better home. And hope was collapsing. By mid-2023, the company's internal data showed something more alarming than falling sales: disengagement. People weren't planning home projects. They weren't browsing new designs. They weren't watching DIY videos. They weren't searching for tools. It was like America collectively pressed pause on self-improvement. Then came the knockout blow. Rising interest rates crushed home equity loans. Home equity used to be the #1 fuel for renovations. Not anymore. Borrowing became expensive. Saving became necessary. Spending became dangerous. The entire model of using home value to upgrade the home itself fell apart. Suddenly, millions of Americans were stuck in a trap. Can't borrow, can't upgrade, can't move, can't sell. They started living with whatever condition their houses were in. Good enough replaced perfect. Repairs became temporary bandages instead of transformations. And through all this, Home Depot's aisles became a visual representation of the economy's anxiety. Walk into a store in 2023 and you'd see more employees standing still, more products collecting dust, more carts rolling without anything in them, more customers walking out empty-handed. It wasn't a retail environment. It was a national slowdown in physical form. By this point, the decline wasn't just about wood prices, tariffs, or inflation. It was about something deeper. Americans stopped believing that fixing their homes would fix their lives. That belief, that simple emotional equation, is what Home Depot was built on. Once that belief cracked, the entire foundation started shaking. And just when everyone thought the slump was temporary, the data from late 2023 and early 2024 revealed a much bigger shift, something no hardware retailer was prepared for. But here's the twist. While every other giant panicked during the 2008 crash, Home Depot finally woke up. For the first time in years, they admitted the truth internally. We're losing our identity. We're trying to serve everyone and ending up serving no one. So they reversed almost every mistake made in the last decade. First move? They killed the idea of be everything for everyone. No more trying to compete with Walmart, Target, Sears, Best Buy all at the same time. They went back to their roots, serve homeowners and contractors better than anyone else in the country. They shut down Expo Design Centers, the expensive luxury showrooms that were bleeding money like crazy. Those stores never made sense for Home Depot's real audience anyway. Contractors weren't buying marble fountains and chandeliers. Meanwhile, average homeowners didn't want to walk into a place where everything looked like a museum. Removing Expo wasn't just cutting fat. It was Home Depot admitting they had been pretending to be something they were not. Next step? They went all in on customer service, the exact thing they had ignored for almost a decade. They rehired knowledgeable staff, brought back experienced carpenters, plumbers, electricians, the people who could actually help customers solve problems, the kind of people Nardelli pushed out. They reopened training programs. They stopped timing employees like factory robots. They restored bonuses. And they finally understood that a hardware store only grows when the employees know more than the customers walking in. And guess what? Customers noticed the difference immediately. Sales per square foot improved. Customer satisfaction started climbing after years of decline. Even contractors, the backbone of Home Depot's business, came back. But they didn't stop there. They looked at the product inventory and realized their stores were stuffed with unnecessary, low-margin items. So they cleaned house. Thousands of slow-moving SKUs vanished. Instead of overwhelming people with endless choices, they focused on stocking the right products, not just more products. This is the point where Home Depot also realized its biggest weapon wasn't even inside the store. It was outside. The rise of online shopping had already begun. Amazon was becoming unstoppable. Customers were starting to expect fast delivery, easy returns, and guaranteed product availability. Home Depot couldn't fight Amazon with speed. Amazon had already mastered logistics. So they fought back with something Amazon didn't have: massive stores in every city, filled with inventory you could pick up instantly. This is when they introduced buy online, pick up in store. It sounds normal today, but back then it was a game changer. Suddenly, Home Depot became the perfect hybrid: Amazon's convenience plus local store reliability. And because home improvement products are bulky, lumber, concrete, tiles, appliances, customers preferred a store where they could physically inspect the material before buying. Home Depot leaned into this advantage. They turned stores into mini warehouses. They invested billions into supply chain upgrades, trucks, distribution centers, automated sorting, all designed to get inventory to stores faster and cheaper. And slowly, the empire started rebuilding itself. But the real turning point came when they realized one truth: contractors are king. A homeowner might come once a month, but a contractor might visit 20 times a week. So Home Depot built entire programs just for them. Pro desks, bulk pricing, dedicated checkouts, special delivery options, even coffee counters to keep them inside longer. They basically said, if we win the contractor, we win the entire neighborhood. And they were right. Contractors became walking advertisements. If a contractor bought supplies from Home Depot, their customers usually followed. By 2014, Home Depot's revenue had crossed $80 billion again. But this time, it was real growth, not artificial expansion. By 2018, they hit $100 billion. By 2022, they were worth $400+ billion. All because they stopped pretending to be a general retail giant and doubled down on being the best home improvement company in America. Even after Home Depot regained its footing, new challenges started creeping in quietly. This time, it wasn't bad leadership or a lack of focus. It was America itself changing. The post-pandemic era brought a wave of uncertainty. Inflation, rising interest rates, and a slower economy made people rethink priorities. The DIY craze of 2020-2021 faded. Suddenly, homeowners weren't buying lumber or cabinets just to feel productive. They were counting every dollar. Home Depot noticed the subtle shift. The average ticket size started shrinking. Customers no longer splurged on high-end tools or elaborate remodels. Instead, sales leaned toward basic maintenance: paint, nails, plumbing parts, garden tools. The company realized that people were preserving more than improving. They responded smartly. Instead of pushing big-ticket luxury items, Home Depot expanded budget-friendly solutions and DIY guides that actually helped people save money. Tutorials, in-store demos, online videos, they leaned into education. The strategy: make customers feel capable, even if the budget was tight. Meanwhile, competitors like Lowe's and smaller hardware chains struggled to adapt. Many kept chasing trends, expensive showrooms, and fancy marketing campaigns. Home Depot stuck to the fundamentals: trust, reliability, and know-how. Another subtle change came from technology. Home Depot invested heavily in AI-driven inventory management and predictive analytics. They could now forecast demand for every zip code in the country. No more empty shelves during high-demand periods, no more overstock in slow-moving categories. It wasn't flashy, but it saved billions and kept stores running efficiently. Even their loyalty programs evolved. The Pro Extra program became not just discounts, but a relationship builder. Contractors and DIYers received custom suggestions, alerts for deals, and even early access to new products. Home Depot became more than a store. It became a trusted advisor for every home improvement decision. By 2024, these moves cushioned the blow from the post-pandemic slowdown. Growth wasn't as explosive as during the DIY boom, but it was sustainable. They were no longer just riding trends, they were shaping them. The key lesson: adaptation beats expansion. A company can dominate a market for decades, but if it ignores the changing mindset of its customers, even a $400 billion empire can wobble. Home Depot's story isn't just about tools and paint. It's about understanding human behavior, trust, and timing. It's about knowing when to push growth and when to focus on resilience. And as Americans continue to rethink their relationship with consumption, brands that understand this subtle dance between desire, capability, and trust will survive. The empire may have fallen at times, but Home Depot's recovery shows that reinvention rooted in reality is more powerful than expansion rooted in ambition. Looking ahead, Home Depot isn't just fighting competitors or rising costs. It's navigating a fundamental shift in American values. The days of buy more, build more, upgrade more are fading. People are questioning, do I really need a bigger kitchen, a fancier deck, a new tool set? This mindset shift is subtle but seismic. It's not just economics, it's culture. Americans are trading consumption for meaning. Minimalism, sustainability, DIY repair over replacement, backyard gardening, these trends are rewriting the rules of engagement for retailers like Home Depot. To stay relevant, the company has started embracing lifestyle integration. Stores are becoming more than retail spaces. They're hubs for learning and community. Workshops teach eco-friendly construction, energy-saving home upgrades, and affordable renovations. Online content now emphasizes not just products, but knowledge, empowerment, and confidence. Home Depot is also leaning into sustainability. Recycled materials, energy-efficient products, and environmentally responsible brands are highlighted. This isn't a PR stunt, it's a strategic pivot. Younger consumers care deeply about ethics and impact, and ignoring them could have long-term consequences. Technology continues to play a role. AI-driven design tools, augmented reality apps to visualize renovations, and smart recommendation engines are helping customers plan smarter projects, reduce waste, and stay within budget. The store of the future is hybrid, part physical, part digital, fully interactive. Yet the company also understands a timeless truth. People buy from brands they trust. Home Depot's decades-long reputation for reliability, advice, and accessibility remains its greatest asset. Trust, not inventory or marketing, is the ultimate competitive moat. The rise, fall, and recovery of Home Depot isn't just a corporate story. It mirrors the American psyche. Boom years fueled confidence, crashes tested resilience, and now a more cautious, thoughtful consumer emerges. Companies that understand these cycles will survive. Those that chase old strategies will fade. Ultimately, Home Depot's journey teaches a simple but profound lesson. Success isn't about building bigger, it's about building smarter. In a world of uncertainty, the brands that thrive are the ones that adapt to human behavior, honor trust, and align with values, not wallets. So the next time you walk past those orange shelves, remember, it's more than just tools and wood. It's a reflection of what America once dreamed, what it lost, and what it's learning to value today. By 2025, the Home Depot story is no longer just about sales charts or quarterly profits. It's about how Americans are redefining home itself. Renovation isn't just physical anymore, it's psychological. People are renovating their lifestyles, values, and priorities. The quiet resurgence of small-scale DIY, community sharing, and sustainable living shows that control, autonomy, and mindfulness have replaced mere material acquisition. Americans no longer see happiness in endless upgrades. They find it in stability, self-reliance, and meaningful action. That shift has forced Home Depot to reconsider its identity. It's no longer enough to sell wood, nails, or appliances. The company now seeks to empower people to live intentionally, even if that means smaller, slower projects. Interestingly, this change isn't a setback, it's an opportunity for innovation. Home Depot has started offering smart home solutions, eco-friendly alternatives, and knowledge-driven workshops. Every aisle, every online tutorial, every DIY class is designed to build trust and inspire confidence, not just generate transactions. The lesson extends beyond one corporation. Brands, especially giants, must realize that economic success is inseparable from cultural relevance. No matter how dominant, a company that ignores the changing psyche of its audience risks irrelevance. Home Depot's cautionary tale shows that trust, adaptability, and authenticity are more powerful than any discount or flashy ad campaign. And for Americans, this isn't a loss, it's a reset. People are learning to prioritize financial security over impulsive spending, meaningful experiences over ownership, sustainability over accumulation. Even in decline, Home Depot mirrors a society transitioning from consumer excess to thoughtful sufficiency. So the next time you think about the fall of an empire, remember, sometimes a collapse isn't destruction, it's transformation. The tools are still there, the paint still shines, but the real construction is happening within lives, communities, and values. Home Depot may no longer dominate every driveway, but it now reflects a deeper, slower, and arguably wiser American dream. The question remains, Is this the end of an era or the beginning of a smarter, more grounded one? Only time will tell, but one thing is clear. In a world of change, resilience and adaptation matter more than size and scale. Home Depot's story isn't just business. It's culture. It's psychology. It's a mirror reflecting the American journey, from ambition and access to caution, self-reliance, and reflection. And in that reflection, perhaps, lies the true blueprint for the next American dream. Thank you for staying with me until the end. See you in the next videos.